We're always dancing to the
I
music.
know. I'm always like,
Hey, book lovers and screen addicts. Welcome to episode five
yes, hi.
of Page to Screen and In Between.
I'm Staci, and I am here with my literary partner in crime, Renee. Yay. We've been friends through thick and thin for over 20 years. So it's great.
Yeah. It's really great to sort of reconnect and sort of discover that even though there were several years in between us hanging out all the time, there were moves, all sorts of other things going on. We just jumped right into where we were and where we ended up. And it is just amazing to reconnect and, just to say to everyone out there, friendship it can handle anything when it's a strong, solid friendship. It can handle distance. Thank goodness for screens, and for what I call it, Zoom, and what we do is StreamYard. It's so exciting to be able to just see each other and reconnect.
Definitely. And it's one of the things that COVID did for us is it kind of jammed us into this screen thing. And it is a good connection to be able to have these screens and be able to connect that way. So
yeah.
What's fascinating you this week?
Yeah. So always when we start our podcast, we always like to we talk about page to screen and in between. And this is kind of our in between moments where we want to talk about what's sort of fascinating us. And I have to say, I was telling Staci that I have come to the Kindle era age. I am a crossover. I love my Kindle, and I bought it kicking and screaming. I did not want to go to Kindle. And Staci and I were talking about this before we went live, is that as an author, one of the most, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, but one of the most validating things.
That's a good word.
Validating is when you hold your book in your hand for the first time. The publisher sends you a box. And I always, if you ever go back and watch some of my old Facebook Live videos, I put on there opening the box for the first time, because publishers give you a box of books or 4 boxes, whatever your contract was. And you pull out that book. And I was saying, and then when I had a book in Costco, I got to walk in and take a picture of my book in Costco. Or I was in the Chicago airport a couple of years ago, and there was my book in the airport. And there's nothing. It is so fulfilling. And it's all those days and hours of being chained to the desk and thinking, will anybody ever even want to read this book, and who will care? And so I just really didn't want to go digital. And I did have a publisher that was owned by Amazon. So I have 4 books that were mainly digital books. You could still buy the print copy. It just wasn't the same, having a book in the bookstore.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of like buying local for people that won't order online. They have to go to a local store. Right. That's kind of how I was, is I'm going to buy a real book. And I still do. But wow, have I joined the Kindle generation? I mean,
especially for travel. I am there. I mean, I love having all of my books just in my little Kindle, and I'm always reading a nonfiction and a fiction at the same time. I just is something that I've always done. And so when I have the nonfiction, sometimes are a little more difficult on Kindle, because I like to go back to reference and that kind of thing. But to have, with the bookmark. So to have those 2 right there, I love it. Yes, I love it. And you can, it looks like you have a quite large print there, Renee.
Well,
I just got my glasses, but you've got the big, large print.
I do that at night in bed, because then I don't have to wear glasses. I don't have to wear readers. Now we're aging ourselves. We're going to talk about this later. But I don't need readers. I don't need my other glasses, and I can just make it a little bit bigger, and it's not backlit. So there's no of that blue screen business, because they have a paper white. So I can read in bed, and it actually calms me down and gets me ready to go to sleep. I can't read an actual paper book in bed, because I need to wear glasses, and then you got to take your glasses off and put them back.
You have to have a lot bigger light. I have a little light that hooks onto a book. and it's just and it's a yellow light. It's a like a nighttime reader light. So I do that. Sometimes I feel like I'm in my little corner here trying and but yeah, I love the Kindle idea. I love being able to, with Kindle, it's almost like you can look up books.
Yes. You can buy a book on Kindle.
Buy a book, like you don't have to go. So that is also very convenient. I really like that idea too. So there's a lot of positives, but you're right. The whole like cracking that first page,
the smell,
yes, of that
the
book
paper,
and everything. And so I do get a
the
book
tactile.
once in a while. I get a book, but then I mean, I just gave like 3. Our library in Nebraska will take used books. Yeah, they have a library foundation. And so I brought 3 bags, none of my Renee Ryan ones, by the way.
Okay. All right.
No, none of my Renee Ryans. But I put 3 bags of books. I was like, well, I read these. I know I'm not going to read them again. So I'm going to take them. So I took some books and I'm like, man, I have a lot of books. I have a lot of books. So, I mean, it's like, who's going to want these books? Me.
Yeah. We played, Mark and I, when he was, I can't remember what it was, and we had to play kind of like a funny, remember what was it called? The newlywed, that newlywed couple game. But it was for just married people, and we wanted to see, it was something at his work. And he goes, what would you want to get rid of your partner? And I said books, and he would want to get rid of my books because my books have taken over our the loft, and my books have taken over the bedroom. So he would absolutely want to get rid of my books, and to me they're like my little babies. I can't part with them.
I know,
but this is helping me with the Kindle, because if it's a book I'm not sure I'm going to like, or I don't know the author or whatever, it feels good just to sort of $2.99 or whatever download it.
And you can read a sample.
Yes.
And I really like that, because the sample's not just like a cover, like the cover page.
The back book, the book,
like a couple of chapters. And
right.
You can
and then you can
go,
really tell.
Am I really getting into this? Am I going to do it? No. Yes. I mean, that's kind of cool.
It is.
That you can read that. So I
like they've got figured out how to take our money, don't they? They know how to take our money.
And you have a lot of the digital, the free digital things through like Hoopla and Libby. You can
NetGalley.
When you're going through, if you belong to a library, you can kind of do that too. So those are good, helpful things too. I always look it up to see if it's in our library first before I buy it. But yeah,
that's really good. Okay, well, that kind of segues into our, not really, but it's going to into our next segment, which is really why we're here.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, messy, controversial moments when our favorite books make the leap to screen. So for anyone confused, our podcast is all about books that have been turned into either a movie or a series or anything that's been adapted to screen.
Right. So whether it's like a faithful adaptation that makes your bookish heart sing, or a wild reimagining that has you throwing popcorn at the screen, we're going to explore it all. So it could be series, it could be movies. They start at books, and then we explore them all. We really like to expand, and we're open to suggestions of ones to do and that kind of thing. So there's no judgment, no opinions, right or wrong. We're just having so much fun doing this and connecting and doing this way.
So consider us your literary besties who are unafraid to disagree with each other or with you, and please feel free to comment and let us know whether or not you agree with us. So grab your coffee, your tea, or your fuel of choice for this heartfelt discussion of what's our book this week, Staci?
The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
Oh my goodness, that was oldie but a goodie. Oh, look at that cover.
I know. Look at those young boys.
Yes.
Okay, so this was written by what was it? S.E. Hinton.
Yes.
Yeah.
A woman.
Susie is her real name. Yes. And so it's basically about this group of kids in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1966, who are sort of caught between childhood, that innocence of childhood and the disillusionment of adulthood. They sort of have one foot in childhood still, one foot in adulthood. They are outsiders. In other words, they are on the other side of the track, what we used to say, the greasers. They're the poverty. They're the kids
Right.
that have been raised in
Low
poverty,
income. We call them low
low
income.
income.
Yeah.
Yes. And then against the socias, who are your kids who are upper middle class to upper class,
Mhm.
who are
Right.
very wealthy and have had every sort of known convenience. And neither group is really made of good, hearty innocence. They are a rough crowd. So
Yeah. Yeah. They
it's
all have a little bit of
easy.
tainted
They're all
views.
tainted,
Yeah,
and
they're all
anger.
tainted.
There's a lot of young boy anger in
Right.
these kids, both sides, the socias and the outsiders.
Do you think the author, because she was 16
When she wrote the book,
when she wrote the book, do you think she was a soc or a greaser? Like, do you think she,
I
like,
think she was a greaser.
greaser? Do you think she was like from the wrong side of the wrong side of the tracks?
I think
Type.
she was, yeah, because I don't know how she could have written Pony Boy, because Pony Boy tells the story.
Right.
It's a first person book, and
Right.
it's a shorter book. I think the audio was 5 hours.
Yeah. It's really
It's a very
short.
short, very easy to read book, very fast reading, very intimate, but it's all told from Pony Boy's point of view. And there's some depth there, which I don't know
Yeah.
that, so you could tell that, there's some depth and thinking. At the same time, I feel as though she knew a little too much about what it was like on that side. Although, was it stereotypical with
Right.
like
And
Johnny's abusive parents?
yeah,
It's almost like maybe she wasn't either. Maybe she was
maybe
one of
she
the
was
kids.
Cherry. Maybe
Yeah,
she
it
was
could have been
Cherry
Cherry
and
trying to understand.
trying to understand, because Cherry and Pony's conversations in the book, there's that depth of trying to understand how you become a greaser, like how, and then she was trying to help him understand, well, it's not easy for us either.
Hmm.
But then she made the comment to him, if I see you in school, don't get offended that I'm not going to acknowledge. So there's a little bit of that Breakfast Club,
Yeah,
um, that
yeah.
that Breakfast Club
We
thing
come
where,
from. Yeah, I can talk
yeah,
to you here, but I cannot talk to you
yeah,
there.
there's certain situations I can talk to you, but when I'm with the group, there's no way. But then she came in and she defended the group a bit, like was trying, was there giving them
Hmm.
information so that they could have some advantages. She wanted to have
Right.
some advantages. So I was wondering if like she was from that group, but did make a friend
Mhm.
on the other side and just wrote it from that perspective. Because Cherry's really the only female besides her friend Marcia, which didn't really have a significant
Not
part.
even in the book, but
No,
well,
she's
and
the
then how
only.
she said that it's a good thing that she doesn't want to be anywhere near Dallas because she could fall in love with him.
Exactly,
And so
exactly.
that was that, because I kept thinking, how?
Yeah,
Because both in the book and in the movie, even more so, what a, I mean, excuse my language, what a
troubled soul, just a troubled soul.
jerk. Yeah, so troubled. And in the book, you get his backstory. You understand that he was raised in New York, in the Bronx. He was in a gang. He had been to juvie, they
Yeah,
call it, so he had lost all, it's almost like
well, he had
he
just gotten out.
was,
Yeah, he had
yeah, he
just
had
gotten
just
out
gotten
of
out. He was
juvie.
never, yeah, he was the cards that his life story was already played out. He was either gonna end up dead or in prison the rest of his life. Like there was not going to be a happy ending for Dallas.
Didn't he say to either Pony or Johnny, like it changes you? I don't want you to ever go in there. Maybe to Johnny, I don't want you to
Yeah,
ever go in there. It changes you. It'll change you.
yeah, and
It'll
I think he
change you.
was
And you
talking
don't
to
want to be
both
like me.
when they were in, maybe in the car when he came up to get them and take them to eat. I think that's when he was telling them,
Yeah.
you don't
It
want
was,
to be me.
yeah, his wise, his, it was just so like well, I mean, you're not going to. you're not going to be surprised by my comments, which one I like the best, but the book was very simple but profound.
Yes.
So you could tell like it was simple writing, but the profoundness, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, I felt did not translate into the script.
I feel like, yes, I feel like this. Okay, so the book, let's go back to the book. You could tell it was written by a 16-year-old,
Right.
and certain things like the way that 16-year-old used cliches, like spoken cliches, used cliches, a lot of them. And that's really how we talk. We talk in cliches. We say things like, you know, you got the wrong end of the stick, or, we live on the
Right.
other side of the
Right.
tracks. Phil, I should have just highlighted them all, because I remember thinking, okay, as an author, we're trained not to do that. It's like, you don't
To
do
use
that.
your own word, or to use not to use
Yes,
words
you
that
don't want to use cliches. Yeah, you want to try and either turn it on its side or just avoid doing that, because
right.
it's considered a little lazy and sloppy. But a 16-year-old is a little lazy, or he's 14. So a 14-year-old is lazy and sloppy. And so
Yes.
it made sense that all of them would speak that way.
Yes.
The one thing too, I felt like they were all a little, in both the book and the movie, a little more educated than I would think some of those kids who never went to school or never went to class or paid attention
Right.
would have been. So that's where I think a little bit of what we call author intrusion, where you could see she was a thinker. And so she
Yeah.
assumed that everyone had that ability. And I don't know that that's true. I
Right.
mean,
Well, Ponyboy was exceptional. Like Soda
yes.
Pop dropped out.
Derry too was. Derry was
Derry,
too.
yeah, he had his athletics, but then
Yes.
when their parents died, that went away. It's basically like so there's all the stories of, there's the one with Hilary Swank where she's the English teacher and she takes
Yeah.
on the lower income, and then there's a math one where they get to go to a math like decathlon. There's all those ones where there's exceptional students that have horrible lives that is heating on their exceptionalism. Is that a word?
Yeah, no, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
So
what you're
it's like,
saying is,
and that's kind of this, only it was very small. I don't feel like she expanded on it, but it's definitely Ponyboy knew poetry.
right. And but some of that, right. And some of it's sort of like 2-bit, kind of bled into that character just a little bit,
Yeah.
but not a lot. But and I would say, okay, so yes, and I loved that the whole use of Gone with the Wind, that book.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's talk about the screen version now.
Okay.
Okay, so I have so many thoughts about the movie now that I read the book. So I had not read the book prior to us doing this.
Okay.
And the movie, it was in the 80s. And as we talked about, it is like the first movie of all of these who became big names.
Yeah.
So we're talking Tom Cruise. We're talking Rob
He was
Lowe.
so terrible in the movie.
Awful. Worst.
Like he had this really weird voice.
Worst character ever. Matt Dillon, terrible. And then, Patrick Swayze, oh my gosh, was the only one that I saw the brilliance early on.
I thought Ralph Macchio was
Ralph.
I thought
my gosh,
was the best
he stole
one.
the movie.
Yes.
Stole the movie.
Yes.
Stole the movie. Yes.
And it was funny, Emilio Estevez, he actually played 2-bit pretty close to the book.
Yes.
How she described 2-bit in the book was pretty close. So I was pretty impressed with his or either the script, I don't know if it was the script or his. I was pretty impressed with how he played that. Always in trouble, like never serious, always, kind of messing around and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like in the book he had better dialogue. I feel like he was super witty and funny. And I feel like he was more kind of the class clown and silly and a little bit of a joke in the movie.
Yes.
but I felt like he had much better dialogue in the book. And I
Yes.
also, the book again. Okay, so going back to the movie, so I did a little bit of research in how the movie was made and why these guys were chosen.
Uh-huh.
And Francis Ford Coppola made it, and you could tell it's very heavy-handed in certain places. I know
Yeah.
it was the 80s, but like when they're talking about Gone with the Wind, did you notice how they were outside the church and they're talking about Gone with the Wind, and he's got like the backdrops and the sunsets that look like
Gone with
seen
the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. And I'm just like, okay, I caught that,
Yeah.
but I know to look for it, but it was really heavy-handed.
Yeah.
But the way he chose these characters, and I thought he did them very thoughtfully. And he did two different sort of, this was back when they actually had to go for screen tests.
Right.
And he did it in LA and he did screen tests in New York.
Okay.
Ralph Macchio was chosen in New York, and a lot of them, Emilio Estevez and the others, were chosen from LA.
Okay.
And they had to all read each part, they had to play each part, and it was like days of screen testing. And they would be called back, and then they would read a different a different character. So every single one of them read each character. And so Francis Ford Coppola, almost like a chess, like moving around chess pieces, figuring out who was going to play whom. And I guess, and if you've read the book, you get this, they all wanted to be Soda Pop. All the kids
Which was not even
well in the movie, Soda Pop's great scene where he ran away. Remember in the book, he runs away.
You mean Pony Boy? Or you mean Pony Boy?
No, Soda Pop. No, Soda Pop runs out of the house. Remember Sandy, the girlfriend that he thought was going to marry him?
Yeah.
He gets a letter from her in the book, and he gets super sad because.
But that's not in the movie at all.
No, and then he runs out of the house, and then Derry, and Ponyboy chase after him, and they go into the park, and then he's on his knees and he's crying, Ponyboy, and he's like, I just want us to be a happy family, And remember, they were going to have to maybe get sent to the boys' home, and I guess it was this huge cinematic moment for Rob Lowe, and they cut it.
That's what I was going to say. Like I was like, no, Renee, that's not in there. Okay, so they cut it.
So they cut it, and Soda Pop, Rob Lowe's character, is hardly in the movie at all.
At all.
And it got to the point where he wasn't even invited, Rob Lowe, the actor, to a lot of the screenings, and he wasn't even invited because they had cut him out, so he just wasn't sort of needed. He was just like almost an extra. And it was so, and then Tom Cruise was, he was. So anyway, that's how they did it. And so that's how they chose. And so when he was chosen as Soda Pop, and I guess if you read Rob Lowe's memoir, and I would highly recommend it since you're working on your dad's memoir, he talks about that scene and how Francis Ford Coppola kept making him redo it. And so he was having to pull from, because there was so much emotion that was necessary and required. And how difficult as a young actor, this was his first movie, being expected to redo the scene over and over again, and then just the gut wrenching. But I guess a lot of people who have read the book were very upset that scene was taken out.
Yes,
and so they've recut the movie, and I haven't seen it, but there's a recut, and maybe I'll find it and I'll put the link in our social media on our Facebook page, and so that people can see that scene, because it's very riveting. I have seen the scene that they cut out, and I don't know if it was he cut it out for wanting the movie to be shorter. I also know Matt Dillon was like the teen idol of the day
at the time, so he
at the time, and I think that Francis Ford Coppola thought that by putting that in and playing up Ponyboy, because in the book, Ponyboy is kind of not Ponyboy, Soda Pop is kind of the glue that keeps everybody together. He's the heart of that group and the family. And I think Francis Ford Coppola thought, if we give Rob Lowe too many of these scenes, then it's going to take away from Matt Dillon. And surely everyone's going to go to the movie because he's the new teen, he's the teen heartthrob.
Right.
And so it was all in thinking that and for, I would say that when now I watch it, Matt Dillon isn't great in this movie,
No.
and he's
Now,
kind of.
did Hinton do the screenplay, or did somebody else do the screenplay? Do you know?
I think she did the screenplay.
Okay.
No, I think Coppola did it.
Oh, Coppola wrote the screenplay
I
because
think
it's
he did.
like dialogue wise, it does keep pretty close to the book. Now,
Yeah.
I read that he didn't even know about this book, but a high school teacher in her class wrote to him and asked him to do the movie.
Wow.
So I read that that he wasn't like, oh, I love to read this book and I want to do this movie. He was asked to do it by a high school class, and he said, okay, we'll do it. And so he did. That's why he ended up doing it.
Well,
Um,
and when this movie came out, this was the first time in cinematic history where so many young teenagers had, like, it's teens playing teens
right.
and teens playing
Kind of
teenagers
the first
and
of those movies.
headlining. Yeah,
And
first
it
of those
wasn't a comedy,
movies.
or it wasn't so
Right.
like Breakfast
But
Club.
even, well, this came out in 83. So
Yeah.
this was before Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
It was
For Breakfast Club,
before
before Pretty in
16
Pink.
Candles, Pretty
Mhm.
in Pink. It sort of was St. Elmo's Fire. It sort of launched that whole genre.
Yeah.
Prior to that, if you were a young male or female actor, there weren't roles for you because this just wasn't, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a genre. And it became such a popular movie that it sort of kicked off all
It
those
was a
80s
springboard.
and
It was a
90s. Yeah, it
springboard. Yeah.
springboarded.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, yeah, I
And those
think
actors'
all of the
careers.
movies that are the people that came, because I know Matt Dillon was, so she wrote a book called Rumblefish too.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I remember reading that book, and I don't know if I was in college or what, but then because of The Outsiders, then then we went to see Rumblefish because they had made that movie. And I don't know if it's Francis Ford Coppola. I should have investigated that. But yeah, but like all of them, I mean, went on to do other things, but I think they wanted to be serious actors, and some of them just never got that. They
Right.
never, I mean, like Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid. I mean, yes, there's some depth in that character, and for goodness sake, the movies,
It
launched into
changed the trajectory of his career for
of his
sure.
career. So that, but it wasn't really like a serious, movie.
Mhm.
Rob Lowe, for goodness sake, he really didn't. He kind of had those roles, although he's made quite a comeback and doing
Oh,
some,
yeah.
like wasn't he in
Television.
West Wing, and he was in like some
And then
serious.
he did comedies too, because he did Tommy Boy.
Oh yeah, Tommy Boy, that's one of
He
my
did Tommy
favorite
Boy. He did
ones.
the Wayne and, Party On, Wayne, Party
Oh
On,
yeah,
boys. Yeah,
but he
remember
was
he did
kind of
that
the
movie?
straight man in them,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
funny.
Yep.
And I
He
just
did Parks and Recs. He was in that. So,
he had his own series.
oh yeah.
It's new, it's brand new, and he did it with his son. His
Yep.
son plays his son in it. Oh my goodness,
Yeah, it's a
my
Netflix where he's
yeah, it's
he's
a
kind of
Netflix.
a crazy
It's
billionaire.
normal. I think
Hmm.
it's something normal, but and
Hmm.
it's really good. He's kind of a CEO that goes a little cuckoo.
And then
Um,
he was in that 911 Austin, Texas.
oh
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, in
So
Austin, Texas.
he's really kind of had a very lengthy career. Uh,
Yep.
one of the things that I had written, like, I don't know if you watched the Andrew McCarthy Brat Pack documentary, and he interviewed, I mean, he has an interview with Emilio Estevez and with Rob Lowe. I think those are the only two that were in The
In this
Outsiders
movie. Yeah.
in this movie. But they talk about, like, he's very upset that they were coined and put into these movies, and they were both like, so what? We made
Yeah.
money. We got to do our craft, our
They're
art,
embracing it. Yeah.
our jobs. They had the attitude of, this is our job. So if it's a comedy, great. If it's a deep one, great. If it's where Andrew McCarthy was like, I needed to be an artist and I needed to do,
He
and they were
took
like,
himself way too seriously, didn't he?
so serious. I mean, I think the interview with Debbie Moore was like, relax, buddy,
Yeah.
relax, and
Yep.
just, yeah. And I think that I mean, like, some of them did just kind of fall into the, okay, we're going to have a job. We're going to work.
Right.
So who cares? if it's
Right.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And so, and yeah, he did take himself, but Andrew McCarthy is now a producer and a
Yeah,
director. So he's had a lot of success on the other side
yeah,
of
that's
the
yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, okay. So we kind of got a little bit, let's see. Do you want to talk about, hold on, here we go. Wait.
which
It's
one
time
would you
for this or
say?
that. Yeah. This or that. Boom, boom, boom.
You know, I have to say Paige,
Mm,
100% for me is, I mean, I got the depth of it. I got what she was trying to do in it.
mhm.
And it covers a lot of mental health issues that were never talked about back in the 80s. And I feel like she was able to do that. So
Yeah.
I
And
say
abuse. Yeah.
abuse, all of it, like the whole thing that was left out of Ponyboy at the end, having that mental breakdown, thinking he killed Bob and Johnny was
Yeah.
still alive. I mean, that was like a whole psychosis breakdown, not in the movie, you know, but it was really in depth in the book. And so, yeah, book for me, page for
Book.
me. Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree, book. Yes, Pony Boy was an amazing narrator of the book. I 100% totally the book was way better. And I also think you could recast this movie and turn it into any kind of subgroup that is marginalized as
right.
the outsiders and any sort of group that's been entitled and redo. I would love to see a remake of something like that. And you would still have such a strong, powerful movie book because
Narrative. Yeah. Mhm.
really, this really is about whether or not you are an outsider or you are privileged, whether
Right.
you are marginalized or whether you are entitled and privileged, and not understanding that at the end of the day, which I loved in the book and the movie, we all see the same sunset.
Yes.
And we
Yes. I love
all want
that.
to, yeah, we all see the same sunset. It's what brought Ponyboy and Cherry together. And I do
Mhm.
believe that that is what makes this a timeless
Yeah.
book
And the stay
is
gold. Everybody
mhm,
stays gold.
stay
You
gold
look at the
before
sunset, you see the gold, you stay gold, you don't get,
stay
you
young,
know,
stay
yeah, you
gold.
don't let it get
Yeah.
tainted. Yes, there's just so many good, yeah, I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. So
Yeah.
I agree. You
And
could,
this was your choice, so I'm glad we chose it. So
yay,
thanks.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah, it was
Yay.
really good. It was really good. It was, it brought me back to the 80s, which was
Mm.
great, you know, my big hair days. It brought me back there. So that was a good reminder
Yeah,
of,
there was a little bit of wardrobe that was very 80s, not 60s. One guy was wearing a rugby shirt, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not the 60s, that's the 80s." But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, you could tell it was
having
made
been
in that was supposed to be the 60s. Yeah, it was
yeah.
funny, but it was
So
good.
that brings me to the last word
Yay!
is
Let
yay.
me hear what you have to say today, girl.
Okay. Okay, so I have a little age on me. I'm gonna admit it. I don't like to admit it. I look in the mirror and I still think I'm in my 20s or 30s, but it's not true. And it was brought to home to me. It was brought really home to me last week, where I have a congenital heart issue that needed to be finally addressed. And I had to go back to the hospital for a full day, a battery of tests. And and I went to University of Kentucky's Medical Center because that's where my doctor is. It's where my daughter lives. So I got to go see the daughter and the grandbabies. And
Yay!
yes, I have grandbabies. I love it.
Mhm.
So it's a very hard to navigate area. And I go and ask where I'm going. I'm get sent to the wrong place. It was a Wednesday, and it was very much for all the people working business as usual. An assembly line of patients. Let's crank them through. We've got to do 25 stress tests today. We've got to do 10 MRIs. Let's get this person in and out, in and out. And I just felt so unseen. I was not seen. And at one
Even though
point,
you were seen by so many people.
so many people. Nobody looked me in the eye. I was
Mhm.
totally unseen. Now, mind you, you're not allowed to wear makeup. And so, I was not at my full, glamour moment.
But that shouldn't
So
matter.
shouldn't matter. So I go to my first test and I went to the wrong place. And so she sends me to the right place and she goes, and she's not even looking at me and she's seeing I'm going for a stress test. So, and I'm coming back for it. a MRI of my heart. And she goes, "Can you get up the steps on your own?" And it just, what? You just
Yeah.
actually said that to me? And I said to her, "Yeah, I got down them on my own. I can get up on, yeah, I can go back
Yeah.
up them on my own." And she didn't even hear my sarcasm in my voice. Like, it didn't even occur to her how insulting it was.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my day. And it went the whole day like that.
Mm.
And I don't know if my last word is, at first when we talked about I was going to do this, because I knew I was having all these tests, I was going to do something super philosophical about every day above ground is a good day. And I'm
Oh
so
my God.
lucky to be here. And, when you're
Yeah.
facing your mortality, life crisis, and not to diminish all of that when people have those moments. I
Yeah.
have not had that moment once.
Yeah.
It's just, and all I can say is that it just sucks when you have to go through all of this. And not everybody really cares. It's sort
Yeah.
of, it's the next, everybody's living their life. You are just another person that they have to treat today. When you go and order a Coke at the convenience store and you pay, that's one more person they're ringing
Right.
up. And so I guess my thing is I go forward, not with this whole philosophical, I'm lucky to be alive, but maybe I'm just going to look people in the eye more. I'm going to be
Yes.
nicer to people. I'm going to
Yes.
smile more
Ask them
to
how they're doing.
people. How
How
are
are
you
you doing
doing?
today?
Yeah, how's your day going?
And
And
not
and
just like,
then
give me the Coke.
right.
Give me the drink.
Yes.
Here's my
Yeah,
money. Like
if you
actually, yeah.
I'm going to give them customer service. I'm going
Right.
to be
Right.
the light that they are incapable of giving because they're having a hard life too.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think that's
very
my takeaway.
French. Yeah, that's very
Yes.
French. I started doing that
Yes.
when we went to France because they said the one thing that Americans don't do, they walk into a place and they order.
Right.
They
They
don't
don't
say
say hello,
bonjour.
how are
They don't say
you?
how are you. They don't say anything. They just walk in and start ordering.
Yeah.
And I think we've become accustomed to that. And the same
Right.
with your hospitals that like they're just accustomed to let's get them in, let's get these people through, let's get these tests done. And
We
it's
don't
like,
want to get
okay,
behind
but
schedule. Yeah,
I'm
even the
scared.
doctors were treating
Yeah.
me that way,
Yeah.
and we got, it's the end of the day, we got to get her
Were you by
out.
yourself?
I was until, yes, I was by myself for all of that until Hillary met me, my daughter
Mhm.
met me for the actual visit with the doctor who was going to look at all the tests and then give me sort
Oh,
of an
okay.
update. Hillary came for that at the
That's
end of the
right.
day. And part of that is she's always been the one to come with me.
Yeah.
That's what she did before she became a nurse practitioner in psychiatry. She was a CVT nurse, which is
Yeah.
CTV, cardiothoracic vascular
Okay.
ICU nurse. So she
Right.
understands. So she's able to translate for me.
Yeah. That's
So
good.
she was with
That's
me
good to have.
there.
I mean, she's good to have. I just wondered
But
if like
doctor is
people are there
also,
alone,
the doctor is her friend, and like they
Yeah.
run in the same circles. So I feel like he gives me, maybe I get treated better because she's there too.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when people go in for these tests and they're alone, I mean, I get it that this ultrasound or this MRI person that's doing your MRI, has done 20 of them, but it's like, part of it is
Scary.
it's scary. She might have done 20, but this is the first one I've ever done. And,
Right.
or whatever, like those kinds of things. And I'm scared of the results. My mind is going towards the, spinning out, like towards what's going to be the result, what's going to happen here. And it can be very, very difficult
Mm-hmm.
to maneuver. So I think
Yeah.
some medical places are trying to do like a customer care revamp, that customer care is the number one thing. And, because health is related to the mental state of your patients. The
I
outcomes
think,
are,
thankfully I have, a husband and, a good life, and I have friends, and I have, my
yeah,
daughter who showed up. What if I hadn't? And
no,
that
right.
was the way they were going to treat me. And
Yeah.
so I'm just going to go forward. And that's my last word is, can we all just
Be
smile a
nice.
little, give eye contact, be nice. I mean, and being on the other side as somebody who has serviced in customer service, roles, be nice to that person. You don't know what they're going through, and you don't know who they are. You don't know
Yeah,
why they're there. They could
exactly.
be a multimillionaire that's just bored and they're there for fun. They could be there because they've got health issues and have to have insurance,
Yeah,
and that's why they're working there. They're not there for you to beat up. And so it
exactly.
goes on both sides.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's as we end today,
Good.
and we're going to move forward. I think our next podcast, we're going to do a recap.
Yeah.
Yes, on everything that we have talked about, the good, the bad, the ugly. We would love to hear from you. Drop some comments in the Facebook pages, either of ours, Instagram. Let us know what book was your favorite. Is
Any
there anything else?
questions?
Any questions? Is there a book that you would love for us to do that has been, again, translated to a movie? We're not
Yeah.
picking just books. We are
Yeah.
doing books that have been translated to movies or screen adaptation in any form, any shape or
Right.
form.
Some sort of screen. Yeah.
Some sort of
Um,
screen, whether it's, yeah.
I think we're going to give you a little sneak peek of kind of our brainstorming processes, how we just kind of talk to each other and come up with our ideas and how those kinds of things. We're gonna work out how we pick books, how we talk about them, and in order to pick the next one, just kind of some of those things. So it'll be a little more.
Less scripted, a little
Less
more.
scripted and a little more us. I mean, we are pretty much us always. We have a little tiny script, but a little tiny outline. But yeah, we're really going to kind of show you a little bit about how we come up with some of these things and what our next steps are going to be and where we want to go next with it. So we're excited.
Yes. So thank you for watching today or listening. If you are
Yes.
listening to the podcast,
Yes.
we will see you in 2 weeks. Right? We'll
Yes.
see you
Yes.
in 2 weeks,
Yes.
and really just have a great day. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks for
All right.
watching.
Bye.
Bye.